the world's great novels. The National Broadcasting Company presents the first of 3 episodes in its dramatization of Stephen's great story of David Balfour, Kidnapped, another of its series of books that live, the world's great novel.
The story of my adventures really begins with a certain morning early in June, the year of grace 1751, 2 days after I'd taken the key for the last time out of the door of my father's house. I was 17 and alone in the world. Father's letter in my pocket was all the fortune he'd left me. And as I breasted a hill and came out on the Edinburgh road, I knew I was nearing the great mansion to which it was addressed, the House of Shaws. Father had written on the outside,
"To the hands of Ebenezer Balfour, Esquire of Shaws, in his House of Shaws, these will be delivered by my son David Balfour."
Ebenezer's name was new to me, and yet it sounded like a great name. And Balfour was our name. We'd always been poor country folk, and now the pride of life filled my brain at the thought of the fine future before me. Good day to you. Do you know the House of Shaws?
Aye. What for?
It's a great house.
Doubtless. 'Tis a big house.
Aye, and the folks that are in it.
Folk? Are you daft? There's nae folk there to call folk.
What? Not Mr. Ebenezer?
Oh, aye, there's the laird, if it's him you're wanting. What'll be your business money?
Oh, I was led to think I'd get a situation.
What? Well, money, it's none of my affairs. But if you'll take a word from me, you'll keep clear of the Shaws. Hup!
I cannot describe the blow this man dealt to my illusions. I made other inquiries. They all met with accusations against the Laird of Shaws, indistinct ones to be sure, but leaving the wider field to my fancy. The twilight was deepening as I put my usual question to a sour-looking woman. She pointed a bony finger down the hill to what looked like a bulky ruin standing very bare on a green.
That is the House of Shaws. Blood built it. Blood stopped the building of it. Blood shall bring it doom. See here. I spit upon the ground. Black be its fall. If ye see the laird, tell him this makes the 1219 time Janet Clouston has called down the curse on him and his house, byre and stable, man, guest and master, wife, miss, or bairn. Black, black be their fall.
Mr. Balfour? Mr. Balfour? Mr. Balfour!
The splendor bush is loaded.
I've come with a letter for Mr. Ebenezer Balfour of Shaws.
We'll put it on the doorstep me offer you.
I'll do no such thing. It's a letter of introduction to your master.
Who are you?
I'm not ashamed of my name. They call me David Balfour.
Balfour? Is your father dead? Aye, he'll be dead. Well, I'll let you in. Go into the kitchen, and mind you, touch nothing. Let's see the letter.
The letter is for Mr. Ebenezer Balfour, not for you.
Oh, and who do you think I am? Give me Alexander's letter, Davy, my man. For little as you seem to like either me or my house,
I'm your born uncle.
You? My uncle?
Aye. You ken what's in this letter?
As you see, the seal wasn't broken.
Aye. Your father's been lying dead?
3 weeks, sir.
He was a secret man, was Alexander. He never said much about me.
I never knew till you told me yourself that he had any brother.
Oh, dear me, dear me. Nor yet of Shaw's, I dare say.
Not so much as the name, sir.
I'm just as glad I let you in. We'll agree fine yet. And now, come away to your bed.
Very well, Uncle. But... May I not have a light, Uncle? I can't see a thing.
Lights in a house I did not agree with. I'm feared of fires. You'll find your bed straight before your nose, and you'll sleep very well. You're a braw lad. Aye, you'll sleep very well.
I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Most of the next day, my uncle spent smoking thoughtfully, occasionally questioning me.
And you'll have some friends, no doubt?
Many friends.
And who will they be?
Different gentlemen of the Campbell clan.
Davy, my man, you've come to the right place. I mean to do right by you. But while I'm thinking what's the best career to find for you, I would not like the Balfours to be humbled before any Elan Campbell. And I'll ask you to keep your tongue within your teeth.
What do you mean?
No letters, no messages, no kind of word to anybody, or else there's my door.
Uncle Ebenezer, it was by no will of mine that I came seeking you. And if you show me your door again, I'll take you at your word.
I cannot find a fortune for you at the bottom of a porridge bowl. But just give me a day or two, and say not a word to anybody, and as sure, I'll do the right by you.
Very well, I'll stay.
We'll agree fine yet.
Do you know a woman called Janet Clouston?
Janet Clouston?
She gave me a message for you. I'm to say she's cursed this house 1,219 times.
Oh, God, Davy. I'll have her roasted on red peat before I'm through here. 1,219. Aye, that's ever a day since I had her sold up.
You sold her up?
A witch. Aye, a proclaimed witch. I'm off and see the session clerk. I'll have her arrested, I tell you. But I cannot leave you by yourself in the house. I'll have to lock you out.
If you lock me out, it'll be the last you see of me in friendship.
This is no way to win my favor, David.
Sir, I was brought up to have a good conceit of myself. If you were all the family I had in the world 10 times over, I wouldn't have buy your liking at such prices.
Well, I'll no go. That's all that's to be said about it.
Throughout the day, there was hardly a minute I did not feel my uncle's gaze on me. But there was no explanation that I could see. One strange thing I found, an inscription in my father's hand on the flyleaf of a book.
To my brother Ebenezer on his 5th birthday.
No, this was odd. Ebenezer had inherited Shaw's, so he must have been the eldest brother. But this inscription seems to mean that my father could write before he was 5 years old. I tried to get this notion out of my head, but it stuck to me. Finally, that night, I asked my uncle if father had not been very quick at his books.
Alexander? Not him. I was far quicker myself. I was a clever chappie when I was young.
But could he not read rather early?
Read? Why, I could read as soon as he could.
Oh, then, were you and my father twins?
Twins? What makes you ask that? Come on, tell me, what makes you ask that?
What do you mean? Take
Tell me,
your
lad.
hand from my jacket. That's no way to behave.
God. Dad, man, Davy. You should not speak to me about your father. That's where the mistake is. He was all the brother I ever had. Davy, I've been thinking. There's a wee bit of money that I have promised you before you were born. Promised it to your father. Oh, nothing legal, you understand. But I keep it, that bit of money, separate. It was a great expense, but a promise is a promise. And it has grown by now to be a matter of just exactly 40 pounds.
40 pounds?
Aye, by the pity, and I'll give it you. I got it out this morning and I put it in a wee bag for safekeeping.
I don't know what to say.
There. That'll show you. I'm a queer man, Davy, and strange with strangers. But my word is my bond, and there's the proof of it.
Uncle, this is most generous.
And see here now. Tit for tat.
Why, of course, I'm ready to prove my gratitude in any responsible degree.
I'm growing old and a little broken, Davy, my man. And I expect you to help me with the house and the bit of garden.
I'm ready to do so to the best of my ability.
Well, let's begin. There's the key of the tower at the far end of the house. You can only get into it from the inside, for that part of the house is no finish. Gang you in there and up the stairs and bring me down the chest that's at the top. There's papers in it.
Can I have a light, sir?
No. Light's in my house, Davy, my lad. Light brings fire, and fire brings destruction.
Very well, sir. Are the stairs good?
They're grand. They keep to the wall, there's no banisters. But the stairs are grand underfoot.
All right, Uncle. To the wall, he said. Stairs are grand, he said. Whist! Good Lord! Nothing. If it weren't for the lightning, I wouldn't have seen. My uncle tried to murder me. The stairs are grand. 40-foot drop in the dark. Uncle.
Davy.
So the stairs were grand, were they? So light brings fire and fire destruction.
Oh, my heart. The wee blue bottle, Davy, my lad. Get the blue bottle there on the shelf.
Here.
That's a bit better.
No, sit up. No, sit. And start telling me why you've lied to me at every word. Why are you afeard that I should leave you? Why do you dislike it to be hinted that you and my father were twins? Why have you given me money to which I've no claim? And last of all, why have you tried to kill me? Answer me.
I'll tell you in the morning. I'm too weak now, Davy.
Weak? Very well. Come to your room. Come on. I'm going to lock you in. Next morning, before I unlocked my prisoner's door, I replenished the fire and sat down to consider my position. There was no doubt I carried my life in my hand, but like most lads country bred, I had a great opinion of my own shrewdness. I saw myself smelling out all my uncle's secrets and growing to be his master. But in all the pictures my fancy painted in the burning coals, there was no sign of a ship, of a big bludgeon for my silly head, or the least hint of all the troubles that were to fall on me. When I freed my uncle, he greeted me civilly enough, and we sat down to breakfast. Well, sir, since you seem to have nothing to say to me, it's time, I think, to understand each other. You took me for a country Johnny Roe. I took you for a good man. It seems we were both wrong. What cause you have to fear me, cheat me, and attempt my life?
A jest, Davy, my lad. A bit of fun.
Fun?
I'll make all clear to you when we've had breakfast.
Aye, Uncle, and stay where you are.
What cheer, mate?
Please name your pleasure.
Oh, pleasure.
If you have no business.
Stay, brother. Don't lock me out. You want to get me thrashed? I brought a letter from old Easy Elsie to Mr. Bellflower.
Well, come into my house. Here, Uncle.
Read that. As you see, I hit a venture with this man, Elias Hoseason, the captain of the Tridenbury Covenant. Now, if you and me, Davy, were to walk over with the cabin boy, I could see the captain, and we could jog on to the lawyer he mentions there, Mr. Rankeler. You'd be unwilling to believe my naked word, but you'll believe Rankeler. He's agent to half the gentry in these parts. He knew your father.
My father, you say?
Aye.
Very well. Come, Uncle. We'll all three go down to the Queen's Fair. Uncle, you walk ahead.
What? Davy, I...
Ahead, please, where I can see ye.
Will.
Lord, lummy. You start to give orders like Easy Elsie himself. He minds for nothing, and no one in heaven or earth. He'll crack on old Silent to the day of judgment, he will. Yes, the skipper's a manly man. It's kill you as soon as look at you. Only he ain't no seaman. Yes, it's Mr. Shaw navigates the brig. He's the finest seaman in the trade. Only for drink. Well, look at this wound on my leg. Yeah, look.
What? Do you take such savage usage at his hands? You're no slave to be so handled.
No, and so he'll find. See this knife? Let me see him try. Oh, I'll do for him. No, we won't be the first I've done for.
In heaven's name, can you find no reputable life on shore?
Yeah, there's worse off than me. There's the 20-pounders. You should see them taken on as soon as we've cleared the river, and they have their drug out of their heads.
20-pounders?
Then we takes to the Carolinas.
Oh, you mean the criminals sent to be sold as slaves in North America?
Yes, criminals. And them what are just trepanned, because someone wants them out of the way.
Trepanned?
Yes, trepanned. Kidnapped.
Well, Davy, my man, here's the tavern where the captain awaits me. And yonder ship is the Covenant. If I'm not mistaken, they're busking her for sea. Aye, there's men aloft are making the sails ready. And she's taking on stores, too. So come along, Davy, my lad. We got to meet Captain Hoseason.
Come in. Master Balfour.
Aye.
Proud to see you, sir, and glad that you're here on time.
Glad to see you, Hoseason.
Thank you, sir.
Davy, my lad, will you just run outside and play yourself a while, my lad?
Now, I'd never seen the sea, and was anxious for a nearer look. So away I went, leaving the two men sitting down to bottles and a great mass of papers. As I passed through the tap room, I asked the innkeeper if he knew Mr. Rankeler, the lawyer.
Rankeler? Who's I? A very honest man. By the by, was it you that came in with Ebenezer?
Aye.
You'll be no kin of his?
Why, no, none. Of course not.
I thought not. Yet you have a kind of look like his brother Alexander.
It seems that Ebenezer is ill seen in this country.
Nay, Root. He's a wicked old man, and there's many would like to see him squirming in a rope. Janet Clouston and many more that he's harried out of house and hame. Yet he was once a fine young fellow too, but that was before the report went abroad. Years ago now. when Mr. Alexander disappeared. That was like the death of him.
What report was that?
Oh, just that he'd killed him. Did you never hear that?
And what would they kill him for?
Oh, what for? But just to get the place.
The place? The Shaws?
Nae other place that I ken.
Was Alexander the eldest son then?
Dead was he. What else would he have killed him for?
No, my father, as I well knew, had been alive only 3 weeks ago. So the rumor against Ebenezer could not have been true. But knowing now that I, and not my uncle, was the true heir, that I, not he, was the real owner of the House of Shaws in its broad lands, I walked out of the inn, half stunned with my good fortune. 1,000 pleasant things were crowding my mind as I walked by the shore. I was examining a piece of seaweed when I heard my uncle call me. As I approached, Captain Hoseason walked towards me.
Well, sir, Master Balfour tells me great things of you. And for my own part, I like your looks. Tell you what, lad. You shall come on board my brig for half an hour till the ebb sets and drink a bowl with me.
Oh, unfortunately, sir, my uncle and I have an appointment with a lawyer.
Aye, he passed me the word of that. But you see, the boat will set you ashore at the Toon Pier, and that's but a penny stone cast from Rankilore's house.
Whist! Keep an eye on the old toad. He means mischief.
Huh?
Aye. Come aboard till I can get a word with you.
Come, lad. What can I bring you from the Carolinas? Any friend of Master Balfour's can command. Well, lad, you'll get your sea legs soon, and your uncle will come on board directly. Come, I'll take you forward and show you our figurehead. Can you now see to the top of this mainmast of ours? It was the main yard there that hoisted your board. The two of them do a grand job for us when the winds fail. Now, here is...
Captain, where's my uncle?
Aye. That's the point.
What? Help! Help! Uncle! Anybody! Help! I'm kidnapped! Help! Oh, that hurt. Arms bound. Where? I remember. Kidnapped. My own uncle, curse him. Must be blowing gale. Sour smell. Pain. So dark.
Well, boy, have you had any meat?
Couldn't. No.
Let me dress your wound again. Now, Captain. A high fever. No appetite, no light, no meat. You see for yourself what that means.
I am no conjurer, Master Ryak.
I want that boy taken out of this hole and put in the forecastle.
What you want, sir, is a matter of concern to nobody but yourself. But I can tell you that which is to be. Here he is, here he shall stay.
Admitting that you've been paid in a proportion, Captain, I will crave leave humbly to say that I have not paid I am, and none too much, to be the second officer of this old tub, but I was paid for nothing more.
If you could hold back your hand from the tin pannikin, I would have no complaint to make of you.
Aye.
And instead of asking riddles, I make bold to say that you should keep your breath to cool your porridge. We'll be required on deck.
Hold. Admitting that you've been paid to do a murder.
What's that? What kind of talk is that, Mr. Ryak?
Seems it is the talk you can understand.
Mr. Ryak, I've sailed with you 3 cruises. In all that time, sir, you should have learned to know me. I'm a stiff man and a dour man. But what you say the new, fie. It comes from a bad heart and a black conscience. If you say the lad will die...
Aye, he will that.
Well, then, take him where you please.
Well. The old man gave in to me for once. Steady now while I cut your bonds. That's better. Steady again while I lift you. You'll be a sight more comfortable in the forecastle.
I lost my senses again, but I opened my eyes on blessed daylight and saw men sitting round the forecastle on their berths. Here I lay for many days. I saw much of the cabin boy, he who'd really got me into all this. He gave me a cruel reminder of his tales of the 20-pounders by revealing that I was to be sold into slavery by order of my wicked uncle. Daily he brought me news from the roundhouse where he slept and served. Sometimes he nursed a wound or bruise in silent agony. Sometimes he raved against the brutality of the chief mate, Mr. Schuon. I'd never seen this terrifying man, but one day in the forecastle.
Schuon's done for him at last.
Who?
The cabin boy, of course.
I knew it'd come to this. 'Tis murder the sot.
I wished the captain.
Davy, my man, we want you to serve in the roundhouse. You're to take the cabin boy's place. Run away after you.
Oh, who they're carrying? The cabin boy?
Run away after, lad. Run away after you.
Oh, no. He's dead.
Kidnapped by Robert Louis Stevenson is one of the world's great novels brought to you each week by the NBC University of the Air. Listen next week to the second episode of Kidnapped. And don't forget that your local public library can be a source of great pleasure and benefit. To add to your enjoyment of this series, we recommend the Handbook of the World's Great Novels, which you may obtain by sending 25 cents to World's Great Novels, Post Office Box 30, Station J, New York 27, New York. That's Post Office Box 30, Station J, New York 27. Kidnapped was adapted for radio by Clement Fuller. The music was composed by Emil Soderstrom, and the orchestra was directed by Bernard Berquist. The entire production was under the direction of Homer Heck. Bill Fine was featured as David Balfour. Uncle Ebenezer was played by Sherman Marks, Captain Hoseason by Just Pugh, Ryak by Marvin Peisner, the Innkeeper by Arthur Peterson, the Cabin Boy by Cornelius Peebles, Janet Clouston by Hilda Graham, and the Carter by Howard Hall. This is John Conrad. This program came to you from Chicago and is a presentation of the National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations. Millions of Europe's children are homeless and hungry. Many are starving. Their daily diets are inadequate to sustain life. American dollars can save their lives. Join the Crusade for Children. 25 well-established private relief agencies have combined their efforts in a single drive to raise $60 million. Send your contribution now to Crusade for Children, New York, New York. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company. the world's great novels. The National Broadcasting Company presents the second episode in its dramatization of Robert Louis Stevenson's great story of Scotland, of David Balfour and Alan Breck Stewart, Kidnapped, another of its series of books that live, the world's great novels.
After the murder of the cabin boy, I had to take his place in the ship's roundhouse and serve the 3 officers. I slept on the floor and ran at the call of 3 men I looked down on, and one of whom at least should have been hung upon a gallows. The future planned for me, moreover, by my wicked uncle and the captain he'd bribed to kidnap me, was to be sold as a slave in the Carolinas. When I thought of all my uncle had done to rob me of my inheritance, cold anger swept away my fear. One evening, the wind dropped. In a fallen swell, we ran into a fog. Men were posted about the decks. I asked Mr. Ryack what they were doing.
Well, listen for breakers, lad. Oh? To give a wide berth to yon rocks?
I see.
She's struck! We're on the rocks! The rocks, you are! The rocks!
Are we caught on the rocks, Captain?
No, not caught on the rocks. We but run down a rather small boat.
How is she? Don't her in this fog. I cut in half. Man in the boat!
What's that? Look alive there.
A man's being brought aboard, sir. He leaped and grabbed our bowsprit.
Bring him to me.
Aye, sir. A French passenger, sir.
Well, sir, you wear a fine French coat for the likes of my ship.
You seem to be a gentleman of great penetration.
You've a French officer's coat upon your back and a Scotch tongue in your head.
Well, Captain, to be plain with you, I'm one of those honest gentlemen that were in trouble about the year 45.
Aye.
And if I got into the hands of any of the red-coated gentry who served the man they call King George, it would go hard with me.
Aye, that I can believe.
Now, sir, I was for France, and there was a French ship cruising here to pick me up, but she gave my little boat to go by in the fog. Well, if you can set me ashore where I was going, I have that upon me. Will reward you highly for your trouble.
We don't know that I cannot do, but we might talk of taking you back to Scotland. We might talk.
I have here, sir, as you see, a belt about my body.
Aye.
'Tis a full belt.
Aye.
And 'tis full of coins like these.
Oh, guineas.
Aye, sir, golden guineas.
Half of it, and I'm your man.
Oh, at that, I must put the gold away again.
Oh.
You see, sir, it's my chieftain's gold, and while I would be but a silly messenger to grudge some of it that the rest might come safe, I should show myself a hound indeed if I bought my own carcass too dear.
Oh, but man, you...
30 guineas on the seaside, or 60 if you set me on the Linney Loch. Take it if you will. If not, you can do your worst.
Well, 60 guineas and done. Here is my hand on it.
Aye, and here's mine.
The ship had no accommodation for passengers, so the officers moved out of the roundhouse and gave it over to their paying guest. Here I had under my eyes a man whose life was forfeit on many counts. He was not only a rebel and a rent smuggler, but he'd taken service with the King of France, the enemy of King George. Now, I was loyal to King George, as good a Whig, as the Jacobites called us, as my friend Mr. Campbell had been able to make me. But I was 17. I could not look on such a man without a lively interest. Here's your meat, sir.
Thanks, lad.
And so, you're a Jacobite?
Aye. And you, by your long face, should be a Whig.
Oh, betwixt and between.
And that means nothing. But I'm saying, Mr. Betwixt and Between, this bottle of yours is dry, and it's hard if I'm to pay 60 guineas and begrudge a dram of liquor on the back of it.
I'll go and ask for the key. And so I stepped out on deck. I found the captain and 2 officers in the waist with their heads together. It struck me they were after no good, so I drew near very softly.
See here, couldn't we trick the Jacobite out of the roundhouse?
No, Mr. Ryak. He's better where he is. He has no room to use his sword.
Aye, true, Captain, but he's hard to come at.
But we can get the man in talk and pin him by the arms. Or we can make a run by both doors and get him underhand before he has the time to draw.
Sir?
Aye.
The gentleman seeks a dram, and the bottle's out.
Well, here's our chance to get the firearms from the roundhouse. David?
Aye?
Do you ken where the pistols are?
Aye, David kens, of course. David's a good lad. Hey, you see, Davy, my man, yon wild Highland man is a danger to the ship, besides being a rank foe to King George, God bless him.
Aye, sir?
You see, the trouble is, we have no firelocks except those stored by my berth in the roundhouse. Now, if I or one of the officers was to go in and take them, he'd fall to thinking. But a boy like you, David, might snap up a powder horn and a pistol or 2 without remark. And if you can, I'll bear it in mind when it'll be good for you to have friends. And that's when we reach Carolina.
Captain.
Hey,
Don't you think you might suggest to him that
you're very right, Mr. Ryak. See here, David. Yon man has a belt full of gold. And I give you my word, you shall have your fingers in it.
Very well, sir.
You're a good lad, David. Here's the key to the brandy locker. And mind that we'll be waiting for the pistols.
With that, I went slowly back to the roundhouse, pondering what to do. They were dogs and thieves and murderers. And was I to hold the candle to another murder? But then, on the other hand, there was the fear of death plain before me. I was still arguing it back and forth when I got back to the roundhouse.
Well, lad, have you got the key? I'm past.
Aye, here.
Then where's the locker? Come, get a move on.
I think they want to kill ye.
What's that?
Oh, they're all murderers here. They've murdered a boy already. Now it's you.
Aye?
They want me to get them some of them pistols there in the corner.
Aye. Aye, but they haven't got me yet. Will you stand with me, lad?
That I will. I'm no murderer. I'll stand by ye.
Aye, then. What's your name?
David Balfour, of Shaw's.
Laird of Shaw's. Well, my name is Stewart. Alan Breck, they call me.
Aye, Mr. Stewart.
Now, let's look to the defenses of this roundhouse. It is strongly built.
Aye.
We need not take note of these wee windows. No man could pass his body through.
Oh, but there's the skylight and the 2 doors. Only one's locked. I'll lock this one.
Well, now, David, I have but one face. So long as that one door is open and my face to it, the best part of my enemies will be in front of me.
Oh, yes. It must stay open.
Aye. Here now, take this cutlass. But get you down a powder horn, a bag of bullets, and all the pistols to charge them.
Aye, that I'll do.
I'll face the door here with my own good sword. Aye, there's none too much space. And that's a pity, too. First of all, how many are against us, lad?
15.
15. Well, that can't be cured. Now, follow what I say. It is my part to keep this door where I look for the main battle.
There's the door behind you, which they may break in.
Aye, and that's part of your work. You must climb up into the bed by yon window. And if they lift hand against the door, you're to shoot. But that's not all. Now, what else have you to guard?
The skylight.
Good.
But, oh, indeed, Mr. Stewart, I would need eyes on both sides of my head to keep the 2. For when my face is at one, my back is to the other.
And that's very true. But have you no ears?
To be sure, I must hear the burst in a glass.
You have some rudiments of sense. Now, charge the pistols.
Now our time of truce was come to an end. Those on deck had waited for my coming till they grew impatient. Look through the doorway, the captain.
Stand.
This is a strange return for hospitality. A naked sword.
It has slashed the heads off more wigs than you have toes upon your feet. Call up your vermin to your back, sir. and fall on. The sooner the clash begins, the sooner you'll taste the steel through your vitals.
David, I'll mind this.
And now, let your hand keep your head, for the grip is coming. Clamber up into the berth with your pistols.
Aye.
Methinks they're getting out their cutlasses. Come, clamber up.
Aye. I'm ready.
Oh, come, you rascal!
There. You're fighting Shuan. Him that killed the boy. Look to your window. Oh, aye. Men are coming with a spar. They're coming to break this door. You're to shoot. Take that. I've hit one. Take that. And that.
Run, you dog! Run! Back, you dog!
Where are you? I can hardly see for the smoke. Oh, you've killed Mr. Shuan.
Aye, and there's one of your Whigs for you. The others seem less anxious now. And you, lad, have you done much execution?
I winged one. I think it was the captain.
Good, and I've settled two. Ah, but there's not enough bloodlet. They'll be back again. To your watch, David.
Can you hear what they're saying?
We're showing bungled it. Louis, man, he paid the piper. This is what we'll do.
I'm sure they're coming on again.
It's what I pray for. Unless we can give them a good distaste of us. They'll be in a sleep for us, lad. But this time, mind, they'll be in earnest.
I can hear them.
Aye.
Where are they?
The skylight!
On the door! They're coming in! Gotcha!
Back there!
Oh, where's my cutlass? Here, I'm coming!
Back, David! Give me room! Room to charge them! Here, you! Back! Take it!
You've routed them! Routed them all!
That's the man. Oh, David, I love you like a brother. And oh, man, I'm a no bonny fighter.
There was a flush in Alan's face, and his eyes were bright as he tumbled the four dead men through the roundhouse door. As for me, all of a sudden, and before I had a guess of what was coming, I began to cry like a child.
Oh, now, David, my man. There, you're a brave lad. Oh, dinna take on, lad. All you're needing is a wee bit of sleep. I'll take the first watch. Aye, you've done well by me, David. First and last. I would not lose you for all Appin, which is my name, I'd have you know.
I slept, and he roused me up, and I took my 3 hours. Alan found pleasure in the thought that he'd not only ousted the officers from their cabin, where we had the daintiest food and all the drink on the ship, but we had condemned 2 of the thirstiest men in Scotland to what they hated most, cold water.
And depend upon it, David, we shall hear more of them. You may keep a man from the fighting, but never from his bottle.
Aye.
Here, lad, reach me that knife, and I'll cut you off one of the silver buttons from this coat.
Oh.
I had them from my father, Duncan Stewart. And now I give you one. To be a keepsake for last night's work. And wherever you go and show that button, friends of Alan Breck will come around you.
'Tis beautifully wrought.
Aye.
I shall keep this as a talisman for when I have need.
Aye, lad, do that.
Who there, Mr. Stewart? I will have words with you.
You answer him. From the roof. Here, take your pistol.
Aye. Ho! You down there. Speak out, and take heed that I'm armed.
Aye. The captain wants word with your friend. They might converse at the window.
How do we know what treachery he means?
He means none, David. And if he did, 'tis honest truth. We could not get the men to follow.
Tell him the captain can come to the window on parole of his words of honor.
Oh, aye. Mr. Stewart will speak to the captain if he gives his parole.
Aye. Oh,
one thing more. You'll agree I showed you some kindness when you first came aboard, so
Aye?
I ask you now if you could not hand me out a dram of liquor. You see, David,
Yes, you can have a dram.
Here's a pannikin.
Oh, thank you, Alan. Here, Mr. Ayek, if you'll reach up.
Bless you, boy. I'll not forget you for this kindness.
Aye, we need no thanks. Just send the captain.
Aye.
What will you say to him, Alan?
I'll make him take me where I am to go. And you too, of course. No more of this talk of selling you as a slave in America.
I think he's coming now.
Mr. Stewart.
This pistol is loaded.
No. Put that thing up. Have I not passed my word, sir?
Captain, last night you haggled and argled-bargled like an apple wife, and then passed me your word, and gave me your hand to back it. And you ken very well what was the upshot. Be damned to your word.
Well, sir, you'll get little good for swearing. You've made a sore hash of my ship. I have no hands enough to work it. There's nothing left me, sir, but to put back into Glasgow after new hands.
No. You'll have to set me ashore where we agreed.
But my first officer is dead, and there's none of the rest of us acquainted with this coast, sir. And it's one very dangerous to ships.
I give you your choice. Set me on dry ground in Appin, or within 30 miles of it, except in a country of the Whig-loving Campbells. Aye, that's a broad target.
All this will cost money, sir.
30 guineas if you land me on the seaside, and 60 if you put me in the Linney Loch.
It's to risk the ship, sir, and your own lives along with her.
Take it or want it.
Could you pilot us at all?
Well, I'm more of a fighting man than a sailorman. But I've often been picked up and set down on this coast. I should ken something of it.
Well, be it as you will. As soon as I get the slant of wind, I'll put it in hand.
And now, as I hear you have one great luck, I'll offer you an exchange. A bottle of brandy against 2 buckets of water. Oh, Davy, if this breeze holds, I'll be showing you up in no time.
Aye. Oh, it'll be good to see Mr. Campbell again.
Did you say Campbell?
Oh, he's my friend.
I hate every man who bears that name.
Why, Alan, he's a man you should be proud to give your hand to.
I know nothing I'd help a Campbell to, unless it was a bullet. If I lay dying, I'd crawl on my knees to my chamber window for a shot at one.
What ails you at the Campbells?
Well, you ken very well that I'm an Appin steward. And the Campbells have long harried and wasted those of my name. Aye, and got lands of us by treachery.
You that are so wasteful of your buttons, I can hardly think you'd be a good judge of business.
I got my wastefulness from the same man I got the buttons. My poor father, Duncan Stewart. He left me my breeks to cover me and little besides. Aye, and that was how I come to enlist.
What? Were you in the English army?
That was I. But I deserted to the right side at the Battle of Preston Pans. And that's some comfort.
But good heavens, man. You that are a condemned rebel and a deserter and a man of the French kings, what's tempted you back? It's a brave and a providence.
Oh, tut. I've been back every year since 46.
And what brings you, man?
The business of my chief, Ardshiel. You see, David, Ardshiel that's come of the blood and bearing the name of kings is now brought down to live in France like a poor person. He that had 400 swords at his whistle, I have seen buying butter in the marketplace and taking it home in a cabbage leaf. This is a disgrace to us of his family and clan. Now, the tenants of Appin have to pay a rent to King George, but they're true to their chief. And what with love and a bit of pressure, and maybe a threat or two, the poor folk scrape up a second rent for Ardshiel. Well, David, I'm the hand that carries it, here in this belt about me middle.
Do the poor folk pay both?
Aye, David. I told a different tale to yon captain, man, but this is the truth of it.
I call it noble. I'm a Whig or a little better, but I call it noble.
Well, you're a Whig, but you're a gentleman, and that's what does it. Now, if you were one of the cursed race of Campbell, you'd gnash your teeth to hear tell of it. If you were the Red Fox.
And who's the Red Fox?
Who is he? When the men of the clans were broken at Culloden, and the good cause went down, and the horses rode over their fetlocks in the best blood of the north, Ardshiel had to flee like a poor deer upon the mountains. He and his lady and his bairns. The English rogues stripped him of his powers. They stripped him of his lands. They plucked the weapons from the clansmen, aye, that had borne arms for 30 centuries. And now, in there steps a man, a Campbell, red-headed Colin of Glenure, the Red Fox. In he steps, and gets papers from King George to be the king's agent on the lands of Appin. And at first, he sings small. But by and by, it came to his ears how the poor farmers and crofters were wringing the very plaids to get a second rent for Ardshiel. Well, and the Red Fox heard it. The black Campbell blood in him ran wild. He sat gnashing his teeth at the wine table. What? Should a steward get a bite of bread and him not be able to prevent it? Ah, Red Fox. If I ever hold you to gun's end, the Laird have pity on you. There grows not enough heather in all Scotland to hide you from my vengeance.
Man, Alan, ye are neither very wise nor very Christian to blow off so many words of anger. They'll do the Red Fox no harm, and yourself no good.
Oh, barring that about Christianity, I'm much of your mind. But this is what the Red Fox did.
I come to that.
Ardshiel was to starve. Aye, that was the thing. But them that fed him would not be bought out. So the Red Fox sent for lawyers and papers and redcoats. And the kindly folk of that country must all pack and tramp. Aye, every father's son out of his father's house, where he was bred and fed and played when he was a child. What cares Red Fox? If he can pluck the meat from a chieftain's table, aye, and the bit toys out of the children's hands, he will gang him singing.
It's not this Campbell's fault, man. It's his orders. And if you killed him tomorrow, there'd be another agent in his shoes as fast as spurs can drive.
You're a good lad in a fight, but man, you have Whig blood in you.
Mr. Stooge! Mr. Stooge! Come and see if you can pirate!
Is this one of your tricks?
Do I sound like tricks? Man, my arm is useless, my ship's in danger!
I'm coming, Captain! Well, come along, David. Aye, Alan.
Hey, you both come. Good. There. That fountain of spray in the moonlight. What do you call that?
Well, the sea breaking on the reef, Captain. And now you ken where the reef is. What better could you have?
Hey, if it was the only one. There. Another one. If I'd counted these reefs, if I'd had a chart, or if shoeing had been spared, it's not 60 guineas, no, nor a 600 would have made me rest for ship in such a stone yard.
I'm thinking, Captain, these'll be what they call the Torren rocks.
Are there many of them?
I'm no pilot, but it sticks in my mind there are, 10 miles of them.
Oh, there's a way through them, I suppose.
No, it somehow runs in my mind that it's clearer under the land.
We'll have to haul our wind then, Mr. Ryak. It falls to you to go aloft. Let us know how it looks by the foretop. I cannot send these wounded men. I'll help them keep hold on the tiller.
Aye, aye, sir.
We'll try your way of it, sir. In with the land. But I think I might as well trust to a blind fiddler. Pray God you're right.
Pray God I am, Davy. But where did I hear it?
East to the south is safe. It's here, in by the north. I'm the point on your head.
David, this is no the kind of death I fancy.
What, Alan? You're not afraid.
Well, no, but you'll allow yourself. It's a cold ending.
I'm on your head. Near water ahead.
Grand, you were right, Mr. Stewart. You've saved the ship.
Keep it away, boys. Leave the wind.
Launch the ship! Look alive there!
This way, man!
Hurry!
Look out!
Let me help.
I and me.
Do you know this shore, Alan? What country is it?
What's possible for me, David? Campbell country.
Can you swim at all?
Nary a stroke, man. Can you?
Not I.
For the love of God, hold on! The ship's burning over!
I went down and drank my fill. I came up, got a blink of the moon, and went down again. My body felt as it was burst. I came up, remembering that a man sinks a third time for good, and down once more. Yet I came up, wondering why I was not like other men. Then down again, and up, and down, and up. And all the while I was being hurled along and beaten and choked and swallowed whole. And the thing so scattered my wits that I was neither sorry nor afraid. I found myself holding a wooden spar. A spar, it helped. Then, all at once, I was in quiet water. I now lay across the spar, becalmed, and began to feel that a man could die of cold as well as drowning. The shores of a distant island mocked me. Some instinct of self-preservation caused me to kick with my feet, still hugging the spar. I was moving. It was mortally slow work. In about an hour, I'd got well in between the points of a sandy bay. In my heart, I thought I'd never seen a place so desolate. But it was dry land. I was incredibly tired, and my kicks were now little more than a waving of my legs. Then, my foot touched bottom. I was wading, alone on a strange coast with the ship wrecked and Alan maybe dead behind me, but I was wading ashore, grateful to God, as I trust I've often been, but never with more cause.
Kidnapped by Robert Louis Stevenson is one of the world's great novels brought to you each week by the NBC University of the Air. Listen next week to the final episode of Kidnapped. And don't forget that your local public library invites you to make use of its many facilities. To add to your enjoyment of this series, we recommend the Handbook of the World's Great Novels, which you may obtain by sending 25 cents to Post Office Box 30, Station J, New York 27, New York. That's Post Office Box 30, Station J, New York 27. Kidnapped was adapted for radio by Clement Fuller. The music was composed by Amo Soderstrom, and the orchestra was directed by Bernard Berquist. The entire production was under the direction of Homer Heck. Bill Fine is featured as David Balfour, and Larry Alexander as Alan Breck. Captain Hoseason was played by Jess Pugh, Ryak by Marvin Peisner. Others were Cliff Norton, Charles Mountain, and Fred Smith. This is John Conrad. This program comes to you from Chicago and is a presentation of the National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company. World's Great Novels. The National Broadcasting Company presents the third and final episode in its dramatization of Robert Louis Stevenson's great story of the adventures of David Balfour, Kidnapped. Another of its series of books that live, The World's Great Novels.
it was falling in torrents. Oh, my clothes had not been dry since the Covenant struck the reef and the tide race flung me on this barren isle. In my pocket, my finger touched the silver button Alan had cut me from his fine French coat. Had my Jacobite friend been drowned in the wreck? And what of my kidnappers, the crew we two had fought aboard the ship? My head swam with my loneliness. I thought of the fishermen who'd passed my island, and my heart burned. Why had they refused all my heed shouts for cry? Some had even laughed. If only I'd learned to swim. A narrow channel separated me from the Scottish mainland, and the fine estate of which, as I now knew, I was the rightful owner and laird. Yet here was I, hungry, and for 2 days now not even a fisherman had passed by, until...
A boat! A passing boat! Ahoy there! Help! Don't pass me by! Don't talk Gaelic. What are you saying?
Tide! Deep tide!
Yes, tide. Oh, you mean when the tide's out?
Is tide!
So that was it. I could wade to the mainland in low tide, wade to safety and food to eat and dry clothes and my rich inheritance. Just wade. I could have done it days ago.
Good day to you, friend.
Good day. Do you know aught of the ship that's wrecked out yonder?
Aye.
Have you seen any of the crew?
They broke bread in my house 3 days agone.
Then all were saved?
Aye.
Thank the Lord. One was dressed like a gentleman, yes?
Well, the first, the one that came alone, wore breeks and stockings. What? But you must be the lad with the silver button.
Why, yes, of course. Oh, here, look.
Why did you not say? Couldn't I be sure you were of the honest party?
Why, yes, Alan Breck, short is my...
Shmon, their names. But the gentleman we both ken left a word for you.
Uh-huh.
You're to follow to Appin, by way of Torresay.
Aye.
Use your button till you come to the Stewart country. Once there, you're to speak to nobody, and avoid all Whigs, Campbells, and English redcoats.
Very well.
And now, if you'll take a bite to eat, we ought.
In Torresay, I was warned that Colin Campbell, the king's agent, him Alan called the Red Fox, was in Appin, forcing the evacuation of all the Stuarts, and that I should beware of redcoats. That evening, as I sat to rest beside the road,
Sir, which road to Acharen?
Hold! Here, Sheriff, is a warning. And what seek ye in Acharen, my lad?
The man that lives there.
James of the Glens?
Who else?
Is he gathering his clan, do you think, Sheriff?
If you're concerned for me, I'm an honest subject of King George, owing no man and fearing no man.
Why, very well said. But why does this honest man seek James of the Glens? I have power here. I am King's agent on these estates and have 12 files of soldiers at my back.
Mr. Colin Campbell.
You know my name. And my nickname, too, it seems.
I've heard that you're a hard man to drive.
Well, your tongue is bold. But I'm no unfriend to plainness. If you...
What happened to
I'm dead. Here, let me see. No, too late. Take care of yourselves.
There's the murderer, running up the hillside. The man in black, with the fowling piece. Come on, Don't let him get away.
Get Holmes, men, if you take the lad, he's in it.
Now they're chasing me. The fools. The fools.
Duck in here, Davy.
Huh?
In here, among the trees.
Now, down in the bracken and be still.
Alan Breck, Stuart.
Be still. Now, they're all ahead of us. We crawl on our bellies and go back the way you came. Do as I do for your life. Well, yon was a hot burst, David. Why do you keep your face in the heather? Are you still wearied, lad?
No.
What then?
You and I must part.
What?
I like you very well, Alan. But your ways are not mine. And they're not God's. And so we must part.
I'll hardly part from you, David, without some kind of a reason.
You ken very well yon Campbell man lies in his blood upon the road.
So, you think I had a hand in that?
Well, didn't you?
I'll tell you first of all, Mr. Balfour of Shaw's, that if I were going to kill a gentleman, it would not be in my own country to bring trouble on my family and clan. And I would not go lacking sword and gun, and with this long fishing rod upon my back.
Well, that's true.
And now, I take out my dirk and swear upon its holy iron that I had neither art nor part, act nor thought in it.
Oh, thank God for that. Here's my hand on it.
Oh, David, lad, you must have cast a spell on me. I can forgive you anything. But we've little time to chatter. Both of us must flee this country now.
You're a Jacobite and a deserter from the English army, but why me?
You're involved in the murder of a king's agent.
Oh.
All Appin will be served, and everyone obliged to give a good account of himself.
Oh, I've no fear of the justice of my country.
As if this was your country, and as if you'd be tried here in the country of the Stuarts.
Where else?
Man, this is a Campbell that's been killed. It'll be tried at Inverara, with 15 Campbells in the jury box, and the biggest Campbell of all, and that's the Duke, sitting on the bench.
Oh, where would we flee?
To the lowlands, to your own country. But mind, you'll have to lie bare and hard, and suffer many an empty belly. Your bed shall be the moorcocks, and your life like the hunted deers, and you shall sleep with your hand upon your weapon. But it's take to the heather with me, or else hang. Well, Davy?
I go with you. And so we set out, 2 hunted men, to journey afoot across the Highlands. The first dawn found us running for dear life. Throughout one hot summer's day we lay frying atop a tall rock, while sentries patrolled within a foot. We travelled only at night, and for the first part of our journey at least, every glen and valley was lined with red-clad soldiers, and all of them instructed to look for me. Finally, after 3 weeks, we came out at the Highland line and looked out at my own country across the wide river Forth. We hoped to slip across the bridge of Stirling to Queen's Ferry, where I should find Mr. Rankler. But the bridge was very closely guarded, and so we determined to go to the Firth of Forth, there to find a boat and a boatman to put us across. We bought bread at a small inn near the Firth, and later...
Did you take heed of the lass of the inn who sold us this bread, Davy?
Aye, and a bonny lass she was.
Then we turned back.
Well, in the name of all that's wonderful, why so?
It might get us that boat.
Well, if it were the other way about, it would be liker it.
Now, I don't want the lass to fall in love with you. I want her to be sorry for you. There's no need she should take you for a beauty.
Well, I'm no beauty after 3 weeks in the heather.
You'll do fine for my purpose. You have a good hang-dog, rag-and-tatter, clapper-my-claw kind of look to you, as if you'd stolen the coat from a potato bogle.
Oh.
Well, here we are back at the inn.
Well? Now, I'm going to do a bit of play acting, the bottom ground of which is just exactly as serious as the gallows for the pair of us.
As you will.
Now, hang upon my arm as if you're helpless with weariness.
Oh.
Now then.
Oh, let me help you to the chair. There. What's wrong with him?
Wrong. He's walked more hundreds of miles than he has hairs upon his chin, and slept oftener in wet heather than dry sheets. Wrong, quoth she.
He is young for that.
Oh, we're young. Here, try to eat some of this bread, lad.
It'd be better riding.
And where could I get a horse for him? Would you have me steal?
You need not tell me. You're gentry.
Well, did you ever hear that being gentry put money in people's pockets?
No, that's true indeed.
Let me be, Alan. I'm better already.
Has he no friends?
That has he so. If we could but win to them. Friends and rich friends. Beds to lie in, food to eat, doctors to see him. And here he must tramp in the dubs and sleep in the heather like a beggar man.
And why that?
Oh, my dear, I cannot very safely say. But I'll sing you a bit song. Oh, Charlie is my darling, my darling, my darling. Oh, Charlie is... That's it, lass.
Bonnie Prince Charlie himself. And him so young.
Old enough to hang.
Oh, it would be a black shame.
It's what will be, though, unless we can manage the better.
I'm thinking, sir, that you've a rather long tongue.
Aye, but I know the folk I speak to.
I'd never betray you.
You're not that kind. But I'll tell you what you would do if you'd help.
Oh, I couldn't now, couldn't I?
No, but if you could. There are boats in Fife, for I saw two upon the beach. Now, if we could use one and have some secret, decent man to bring it back again and keep his counsel, there'd be 2 souls saved. If we lack that boat, we have but 3 shillings left in this wide world. Are you to lie in your warm bed and think upon us, lass, when the wind howls and the rain beats on the roof? Are you to eat by a red fire and think upon this poor sick lad biting his fingernails on a boor? Sick or sound, he must aye be moving. With a dead grapple at his throat, he must be trailing in the rain. And when he breathes his last on a heap of cold stones, there'll be no friends near him, but only me and God.
Oh, Steve.
Did you ever hear of Mr. Rankler of Queen's Ferry?
Rankler, the lawyer?
It's to his door I'm bound. You maybe judge that if I'm an ill-doer.
Well, Mr. Rankler's a known man. You must take some food, then go down to the beach and lie up in the wood. I'll find some means to put you over somehow.
It was very good of you to row us over yourself. I cannot find expression for my thanks.
There's no need. Lose no time and hold your peace. Goodbye.
Goodbye, lass.
That's a very fine lass.
Aye.
A very fine lass.
She saved us both. Now to see Mr. Rankler.
Not I, David.
Huh?
It's safer for me to lie in the fields and stare for nobody. When you return, give me a sign.
Very well. The sign shall be this.
It is a lowland air, but 'twill serve.
Come in. What can I do for you, sir?
My name is David Balfour.
Oh? And where have you come from, Mr. David Balfour?
Many strange places, sir. But I've reason to believe myself some rights on the estate of Shaws.
Mm-hmm.
Have you any papers proving your identity?
They're in the hands of Mr. Campbell of Essendean and could be produced. I don't think even my uncle would deny my identity.
Meaning Mr. Ebenezer Balfour?
The same.
Did you ever meet a man of the name of Hoseason?
Oh, I did so, sir. It was him at my uncle's instigation that I was kidnapped and carried to sea. Suffered shipwreck and 100 other hardships.
You say you were shipwrecked? Where?
South of the Isle of Mull.
The ship was lost, let me see, June the 27th, and we are now at August the 24th. There's a considerable hiatus, Mr. Balfour.
Well, before I tell my story, I'd be glad to know I'm talking to a friend.
I cannot be your friend till I'm properly informed. If you were more trustful, 'twould better befit your scarcity of years.
You're not to forget, sir, that I've already suffered by my truthfulness and was shipped off to be a slave by the very man that is your employer.
No, it's not as bad as that. I was your uncle's man of business, but on the very day of your sea disaster, your friend Mr. Campbell of Essendean stalked into my office demanding you. I'd never heard of you, but I'd known your father. Mr. Ebenezer admitted having seen you, declared for what seemed improbable that he'd given you considerable sums, and that you'd started for the continent of Europe to fulfill your education. Interrogated how you'd come to send no word to Mr. Campbell, he said you'd expressed a desire to break with your past life. Those were his replies. I'm not sure that anyone believed him.
Oh, I should think not.
He disrelished certain expressions of mine and ended by showing me to his door. Then there came to me this Captain Hoseason with a story of your drowning, whereupon all fell through. Now, you can judge if I may be trusted.
Sir, if I tell you my story, I must commit a friend's life to your discretion. Pass me your word it shall be sacred.
You have it. But if your story contains any little jostles with the law, I beg you to remember that I'm a lawyer and pass lightly.
Certainly, sir. The friend I mentioned is one you may have heard of. Alan Breck.
Name no unnecessary names, Mr. Balfour. Above all, if any are of Highlands, many of whom are obnoxious to the law.
Well, it might have been better not, but since I've let it slip, I may as well continue.
Not at all. It so happens that I'm somewhat dull of hearing, and I'm far from sure I caught the name exactly. We'll call your friend, if you please, Mr. Thompson.
As you will, Mr. Ankler. This, then, is my story. At the time of the death of my son.
Oh, really, this is an epic, a great odyssey of yours. Mr. Thompson seems to me a gentleman of some choice qualities, though perhaps a trifle bloody-minded. You're doubtless quite right to adhere to him.
Oh, yes.
Well, since we've now agreed on a plan, tomorrow we'll walk out to meet your bloodthirsty friend, and with his assistance we'll, shall I say, settle the hash of Mr. Ebenezer Balfour. So you see, Mr. David, that's the entire story of your uncle. Mr. Ebenezer, incredible though it may seem, was a dashing figure in his youth, admired and beloved, but woefully spoiled. Your father, the elder brother, was a kind gentleman, but dolefully weak. These two fell in love with the same lady. She took your father. He, through some queer reasoning of his own, felt constrained to agree with his brother that, as one had the lady, the other should have the estate.
What exactly is my position?
Oh, everything's yours beyond doubt. It matters nothing what your father signed. Ye are the heir by the law of entail.
Oh, this is where we stop and look for Mr.
Thompson.
Oh, aye.
Aye.
You never thought to look up, Davy. I was watching from the tree above your head.
Oh, Alan. Mr. Ankler, this is my friend, Mr. Thompson.
How'd you do, sir?
Alan, please to remember that name. Mr. Ankler is a lawyer.
Ah, it's not a name I relish.
But in present circumstances, no doubt it's a cautious one.
Exactly, Mr. Thompson. And I must say I'm pleased to meet you. And now, if you'd lend me your arm, I'd like to tell you how we plan to approach a very wicked old man. Mr. David and I will remain behind this bush, Mr. Thompson. When you've reached the proper stage of your conference, we'll make our entrance. Aye.
This blunderbush is loaded.
Is that yourself, Mr. Balfour?
What is this? This is no time and age for decent folk. Who are you?
What brings me is more of your affairs than mine.
And what is?
David.
What's that?
Shall I give you the rest of the name?
I'm thinking I'd better let you in.
Oh, but would I go? It's here upon this doorstep that we must confer upon this business. Here and nowhere.
Well, must.
I am a blunderbush. One step nearer, and you're as good as dead.
And a very civil speech, to be sure.
I'll sit here on the top step.
You'll have perceived that I'm a Highland gentleman. Well, the county of my clan is not very far from Mull, and it seems there was a ship lost in those parts. Next day, a gentleman of my family was seeking wrecked wood for his fire along the sands, when he came upon a lad that was half drowned.
Half, did you say?
Aye, only half. My friend brought him to and clapped him in a ruined castle, where from that day to this, he has been a great expense to my friends.
I'm listening, man.
Now, my friends, finding the lad owned some decent folk, and was your born nephew, Mr. Balfour, they asked me to call on ye and confer upon the matter. I may tell you that unless we can agree on terms, you're little likely to set eyes on him, for my friends are now very well off.
I'm not very caring. He was not a good lad at the best of it, and I've no call to interfere.
I see what you be at, pretending you don't care to make the ransom smaller.
No, it's the mere truth. I take no interest in the lad, and I'll pay no ransom.
Good, sir. You cannot desert your brother's son for the fair shame of it. And if it came to be known, you would not be very popular.
I'm not very popular the way it is. And it would not come to be known by me, nor yet by you or your friends, so that's idle talk, my bucky.
Then it'll have to be David that tells it.
How's that?
Just this. My friends would keep your nephew as long as there was any likelihood of money to be made of it. But if not, they'll let him gang what he please.
Aye, but I'm not very caring about that either.
I was thinking that.
And what for? Why?
Why, Mr. Balfour, either you like David and would pay to get him back, or else you've good reasons for not wanting him, and would pay for us to keep him. It seems it's not the first, so it's the second.
I do not follow you there.
No, well, see here. You didn't want the lad back. Well, what do you want done with him? And how will you pay? Come, sir, I'm no rider to kick my heels at your front door. Either give me a civil answer, or by the top of Glencoe, I'll ram 3 feet of iron through your vitals.
Hey, man. Oh, give me a minute, man. What's wrong with you?
I ask for nothing but plain dealing. Do you want the lad killed or kept?
Oh, man, that's no kind of language.
Killed or kept?
Keep it. We'll have no bloodshed, if you please.
Well, now, that'll be the dearer.
Dearer? Would you foul your hands with crime?
Good, they're both crime. And killing's easier, and quicker, and surer. Keeping the lad'll be troublesome.
I'll keep it, though. I never had nothing to do with anything morally wrong.
You're uncommon scrupulous.
I'm a man of principle. And if I had to pay for it, I'll have to pay for it. And besides, you forget, the lad's my brother's son.
Well. And now, about the price. Before I set a name to it, I'd have to ken some small matters. For instance, how much did you give Hoseason at the first off-go?
Huh? Hoseason? What for?
For kidnapping David.
Oh, it's a lie. It's a black lie. He was never kidnapped. He lied in his throat that told you that. He never was.
Well, that's no fault of mine or yours, nor yet of Hoseason's, if he's a man that can be trusted.
What do you mean? Did Hoseason tell you?
Why, you done it, old runt. How else would I know? Hoseason and I are partners. What did you pay him?
Has he told you himself?
That's my concern.
Well, I do not care what he said. He lied. The solemn God truth is, I get him £20. But I'll be perfectly honest with you. Besides that, he was to have the selling of the lad in Carolina, which would be as much more, do you see, but not out of my pocket.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Yeah.
That will do excellently well.
Oh.
Good evening, Mr. Balfour.
Good evening, Uncle Ebenezer.
Well, Davy.
And so I came into my inheritance. By getting my uncle's confession in the presence of 3 witnesses, we avoided the possibility of his bringing his false claims to Shaw's into court. I had no wish to prosecute. I let him have a small income and allowed him to stay on temporarily in the house. As for my friend Alan Breck Stewart, from him I had to take a most painful parting of my life. For his own safety, he had to be shipped to France. But the lawyer and I were able to see to it that he did not go to his friends there, the poor man he was, when aboard the ill-fated ship the Covenant, he first demanded brandy from a cabin boy called David Balfour.
Kidnapped by Robert Louis Stevenson is one of the world's great novels brought to you each week by the NBC University of the Air. Listen next week to the first episode of Henry James' novel of 19th century New York, Washington Square. And don't forget that your local public library invites you to make use of its many facilities. To add to your enjoyment of this series, we recommend the Handbook of the World's Great Novels, which you may obtain by sending 25 cents to World's Great Novels, Post Office Box 30, Station J, New York 27, New York. That's Post Office Box 30, Station J, New York 27. Kidnapped was adapted for radio by Clement Fuller. The music was composed by Emil Soderstrom, and the orchestra was directed by Bernard Berquist. The entire production was under the direction of Homer Heck. Bill Fine was featured as David Balfour, and Larry Alexander as Alan Breck. Mr. Rankler was played by Jonathan Howell, Uncle Ebenezer by Sherman Marks, The Last by Geraldine Kay, The Crofter by Charles Mountain, and The Red Fox by Howard Hall. This is John Conrad, and this program came to you from Chicago, and is a presentation of the National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.